I am proud to introduce the master, Jerry Pinkney, who is going to take us on a tour of his brand new studio and talk about his A Place to Land, written by Barry Wittenstein. Jerry, over to you.
Jerry, it looks like you're muted. Oh, looks like you're
Yeah,
not muted.
yeah. Well, how are you? And I guess can we still say he has sort of happy ALA, even though it's virtually? But it's my pleasure to be here. And I thought I would first start by telling you a little bit about this new studio. I mean, Terry alluded to the fact that I'm now in a new space, a new art making space. And so quickly, a little bit of a story behind it, and then we'll move on to maybe perhaps, sharing with you what the space sort of looks like and how I use it. I was in a rented space for over 10 years, and that's where A Place to Land was actually created. And for different reasons, it made sense for me to perhaps relocate, move back into my home. By the way, the old studio was just, I counted the steps, 127 steps from where I'm now presently making art. A neighbor converted a garage, second floor for me, with ample space and so much more room than I had in my original studio. And so I made the choice to move back into the house, but I knew I couldn't, it was a much, much smaller space. I knew I needed to, it had to feel like not moving back, but moving forward. So I gutted the old studio and I pushed out, there was a screened in porch, pushed that out and then built that, made that part of my studio, walled it in. And I really was thinking about, and there's a side of me that's very pragmatic, and that was that I would add a room onto the house, expand the space as a room that could be sort of used as a rec room or a family room if we sold the house. And somewhere in the middle of that decision, I decided no. I was going to make it a studio, my working space. So with that, I abandoned all the other ideas, the practical ideas, and I started to think about what are those things that I needed or wanted. What would be the very same things that would be my muse, my inspiration as I worked? So the idea came to me was light, of course. That's very important to all of us artists. So that became a factor. And then this other idea that I had, and I always had plants, love plants. My mother loved plants, and I think it's a connection with her. So the idea, and you'll see as I pivot around, this idea was inside, outside. And as you can see in back of me, there's a corner window. And this sense of being in a working space, in art making space, at the same time outside. So now I'm going to try to pivot around. And by the way, remember this, it's a new space. So if it appears to be neat, that's just for now. So, and I have to figure out how to do this. Behind me, of course, is a bookshelf. This shelf here is really art books and my collection of art books. And now I'm going to just sort of pivot because I think we're in the kind of the right height. And you'll see works on the wall. These drawings that you're going to see are drawings from actually when I taught. So you will see some original art from books, but mainly from either the work that I have created, independent work, So, okay, we're going to pivot. And there you see, actually there on that sort of small sort of coffee table, I actually do a lot of writing, and I have you'll see a lot of things also that I've collected over the years. So I'm going to just stay here at this spot and just pivot the camera around, and you can get a sense of the space. And also over the years, well, it's been 60 years of art making. So there is 60 years also of collecting things that we enjoyed and I've enjoyed. And also music. I love music. And if you, I'm going to peek in here to make sure you're getting a sense. Oh, you can see that the windows are up high and they look out and you on trees. And that was the idea, that I would get that sense of, again, always being outside. And sometimes when I leave, this is on the bottom level of the floor of our home, and it opens out into a forest, a wooded, very wooded area. We're surrounded by woods. And so you get the sense when I leave, my bedroom is upstairs. When I leave the house, enter my studio, it's like I've left and I've gone outside. So I have two, I'm going to peek in here to make sure you're getting a sense of, there's two work tables. Okay. And then I'm going to share with you something. Oops, there we go. We got two work tables, and they are back to back. And one I do drawings, and the other I do painting. Now, I'm going to just walk around because I want to share with you something that's not a book, but independent work. Okay, let me walk over here. And I just want to share this with you. Oh, that's my bike, my exercise bike. But I want to share this. These are very large portraits, and I've started, that's my daughter who came to visit, actually my great-granddaughter, and my daughter came to visit for, going to be for 2 weeks. That was before shelter in place. And so I decided during this sort of quarantine time to speak to this relationship that was built between my wife, Gloria Jean, which has always been there, but my daughter, my great-granddaughter, and my daughter, my great-granddaughter, and of course, Gloria. And the next thing, I think I have one more to do, and that's going to be my sort of self-portrait. So I'm going to just sort of keep going this way. And you'll see that's a desk that, you know, I write at times. And here is my beginning of my reference library. And now we're going to just enter into a room that eventually will be set up for technology. Okay. And again, you'll see this sort of sense of always feeling like one is inside, outside. Okay, so how about that? I can't tell you what a pleasure this has been for me. And if I could, I'm going to just do one thing, but this is so important. If we can do it. That's my granddaughter, my great-granddaughter. And my wife, Gloria G. And you get some sense of trying to make sense out of this time in quarantine by hearing through this relationship that, and it was always been deep, how much richer and warmer, heartwarming, heart opening it has been to spend time with these three people who are so close to me and even closer during this time of quarantine. I think that's it. You get some sense of where I am, how I'm using this space constructively. And by the way, this is very important, and that is that very few people, I moved in February, very few people have been able to visit with me in my studio. So thank you and welcome. Take care. Be well. Be safe.